Hello and welcome to our channel. In the last video, we saw how to set up a Postgres server locally. In this video, we will see some more ways to work with Postgres using containers with the help of Docker this time. We will be looking at two configurations in this video. One will be creating a database container and accessing it through a locally installed application, and another one will be running two containers in a network, one for the database and one for the application. For the first part, let's open the terminal. Let's check if Docker is installed or not. We can do that by running the Docker command. If it gives us some information about the Docker, then we can confirm that Docker is installed. So to start the container, we need to do the following things. First, we'll write our sudo command and then docker run. We'll give a name to our container. Let's say my container, and we need to map the port from container to our local PC. For that, we can say -p 5432 to port 5432, since Postgres runs on the port 5432 by default. We'll give it an environment variable by using -e flag. The environment variable will be Postgres_password, which will be equal to some password, a secured one, and we want to run it in the background. For that, we can use the -d flag, that stands for detached, and we will give it the image name, that is Postgres, and then we will run it. Give it a password. Okay, now we get an error which says that port 5432 already is in use. This is because we have already installed a local instance of Postgres which is already running on 5432. We can check if our present container is created or not. We can do that by using sudo docker ps. So the container is not running because it gave us an error. But if we check all the stopped containers by giving it a -a flag, it will say us that a container was created. Let's try to remove this. Sudo docker remove. We'll copy this id, paste it here, and then enter. Alright, now run the above command again, and we will change the port to, let's say, 5433, and then we'll run it. Now it gives us a container id. We can check if it is running or not using sudo docker ps. Alright, it says us that the container is running. We can open a pgadmin application. We can add a server. Let's say my server. For the host name, we'll give localhost. The port was 543233. Username is Postgres. Password was password. We'll save the password, and then we can save it. Now it has been connected to the Postgres server. We can also access the bash shell of this container. For that, we can do sudo docker execute -it for interactive shell, for interactivity, and then we'll copy this container id, we'll paste it here, and we want to open a bash shell. The presenter, here it is. So we will use the psql utility. This user will be Postgres, host will be local host, port will be 5433. Okay, now since we are inside the container, we need to give the ip of the docker container itself. Let's open another terminal. We'll write ipa here, and we will check for the ip of the docker. Here it is. We'll just copy this, then we can remove localhost and paste the copied IP here. Press enter and then password. Here we can create database, say hello, press enter, and we can go to our application. We can refresh this and we'll see a database hello is created. Alright, let's close this. Now we can exit out of this, out of the container. If we check, we have a docker ps container still running. We can stop it using sudo docker stop, and we'll give this container ID here. Now it will stop. If we can check again, sudo docker ps, there is no container. Dash with the -a flag, we will see a container that was already stopped. We can remove this too using sudo docker remove, again the container ID. Now we will create two containers, one for the Postgres and one for the pgadmin application that will be accessed through our browser. Since all the containers are isolated from each other, we will need to create a network between them so that they can talk to each other. There are ways to create networks inside Docker, but we can use another utility called Docker Compose. For that, first we'll create a configuration file. Let's create a directory. Let's say pg server. We'll go inside that and we'll create a YAML file which will be named compose.yaml. Now we will have some services here. The first service being the database. The image that will be used here will be Postgres, and the ports that will be 5433 again, 5432. For the environment, we have Postgres underscore password, which will be equal to password. Alright, now we will have another service here which will be pgadmin. For the image, we can go to our browser. We can search for pgadmin docker. We'll open this link. We will go to the Docker Hub site, and this is the image name. We can copy this and we'll paste it here. For the port, we will do 8080, since pgadmin runs on port 80. For the environment, we have two variables, pgadmin underscore default user, which will be less default email, which will be, let's say, someone at something.com, and we have a pgadmin default underscore password, which will be again, let's say, password. We can save this file and we can do sudo docker compose up and dash d for running it in the background. Alright, now let's open our browser. We will do localhost port 8080. We can do someone at something.com. Password was password. Here we can just add our server which was in our docker. We can add the server, let's say my server, and we'll give it a IP which was this one. Username will be Postgres, that is by default. Password was password. Save the password and we'll save this, and it is running. We can create a database here, let's say some DB, and we will save it. We have some DB here. Now to stop the container, we can simply do sudo docker compose down. Now it will stop both the containers and the network that contains these containers.